war with each other. Remember now, the Catholic Church has 1.3 billion members. That's a lot. And people should realize it also has effects in other Christian sects as well as the Vatican, because when you put in what I call a metastable equilibrium, you put in a new idea or a new person like the Pope don't push against abortion, and don't and start accepting the idea of lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, or etc. and other ideas, extremely liberal, Jesuit liberal ideas. There's a lot of pushback, and that pushback in the synod caused a real problem. And so there's a battle between, as you mentioned in the break, Opus Dei and the people in the
Jesuits.
The Jesuits that are going on inside the Vatican. What's happening?
Well, basically what happened now is that on Sunday 2 people got arrested, 2 close collaborators of the Pope, because they were part of this commission that was instituted a couple of years ago to inspect the Vatican Bank, the IOR, and to try to reform it. One of these people is called Monsignor Angel Valeo Balda. He's 54, and then the other one is a younger woman called Francesca Immacolata Ciacqui, which is 33. Now, they've been arrested, and only one of the 2 has been then released on Monday morning, which is this Francesca Immacolata Ciacqui, because she's also pregnant at the moment.
Right.
But she was actually the personal lobbyist of Pope Francis. I mean, these were people very close to Pope Francis that were arrested in Vatican soil by Vatican police because they betrayed the Pope, giving the documents for the release of 2 books that are coming out in the next couple of days in Italy. One is called Avarizia by Emiliano Fitzibaldi, and the other one is called Via Crucis of Gianluigi Nuzzi. Now, in these books, there is not only talk, there is actual documents that are published, and these documents will, of course, bring one of the biggest scandals in recent times for the Vatican, because, of course, it involves, shockingly enough, the fact that the famous Pink Pope, you remember that I talked about in the book, Pope Francis the Last Pope, because of his luxurious penthouse. Now, in this book is revealed with documents that this penthouse was built with the money for the poor kids that was given to the Vatican.
Now, is this where the current Pope lives, or is this the converted convent for the old Pope Benedict?
Yes, this is the converted convent, the second one you mentioned, the old Secretary of State of the Vatican.
So this kind of lays, it lays on both popes, because it was begun, that work was begun under Benedict XVI, but it was also continued under Francis, correct?
Sure, but there is the problem now that this whole thing involves the Opus Dei, and the conservative faction of the Opus Dei that is now declaring war on the Jesuits seems to be in some way connected to Ratzinger, because it ends up being in the hands of a countess of the black nobility. This countess is basically a very important and influential person, and she basically will direct for the last couple of years this group called Diplomatia, which is a secret Illuminati group. She's also an ambassador for the Republic of San Marino. Her name is Countess Marisa Pinto Olori del Poggio, if you want to go and research it. And she works for J.P. Morgan also.
I love how your cadence there, Leo, is priceless with your accent. Your cadence is priceless. Go ahead.
And not only this, one of the 2 arrested was basically working for a long time for Giulio Andreotti, who is now deceased, but for a long time was the influential grandmaster of a group called Ring, connected to Gladio, Operation Gladio, and was also the president, the prime minister of Italy for many times.
Operation Gladio, which of course we could expand upon. Operation Gladio.
Yes. So basically, what's happening here is that these 2 people got caught with leaking information, which is of course reserved, and now the Pope wants them to have 8 years in prison. I mean, 8 years is not a small sentence.
Well, that is extraordinarily shocking, because the Vatican they have a tiny jail. They almost never try anyone. They tried an archbishop, defrocked archbishop, for sexualization. But it's almost unheard of for them to do this. And by doing this, he guarantees that these books will will be sellouts from the first moment the door opens.
Well, the problem is today I heard Emiliano Fisibaldi, which is the author of Everest, and I'm myself doing a scoop tomorrow morning on Italian radio, as I said, and this Emiliano Fisibaldi is bringing out information, of course, which is shocking because it shows how all the money for the poor goes to the Vatican, rich cardinals, never arrives to the poor priest in the countryside. Out of all the billions, I'm talking billions, that the Vatican has arriving every year, only 35,000 euros, something like this, went out of their pockets towards the expense church. I mean, it's
You're
really
kidding.
bad.
Do you realize this is dynamite?
This is dynamite, meaning this might be the end of the church. I mean, here we're talking about 2 books, and I know the authors, and I myself now have found out this connection, which the authors themselves didn't really think much about, which is this connection I've been talking now about with J.P. Morgan, which is very important. And why is that? It's very important because before Ratzinger basically left, he sent all the gold of the Vatican to J.P. Morgan in Frankfurt.
You're kidding.
Yeah, you can find that on the internet. If you go and search, you will find on legitimate sources of information, because of course they have to be legitimate, because we don't want to give information just, and this information is very important, because now we can connect the conservative side, Ratzinger, directly with these 2 people who were arrested. So basically, it's a war going on between the 2 popes now.
Wow. I'm still not clear in my own mind why Benedict XVI abdicated.
Well, abdicated, like I said in the documentary I made with Alex Jones, and I proved with the documentation, there was a Cardinal Martini, a Jesuit cardinal, who actually warned Ratzinger and told him to step down. Then there was the actual left-hand man of this cardinal, who, before dying, left a testament saying that this happened. And there is, in Italy, this is evidence, it's on all the newspapers. So, I mean, we know exactly that Ratzinger had to step down because he was blackmailed by the Jesuits.
And you have the first Jesuit Pope in history, Pope Francis.
That's it. I mean,
right. Does this move that the governing board for the church will no longer be a pope, but a collective, almost like a bureaucracy of world bishops? Because the synod, when it had a meeting, was a total disaster. They were trying to push these crazy ideas from this pope, this Jesuit pope, and the bishops and cardinals just revolted totally. It was like, not good. When we come back, we'll talk about this, because it has effects on world events too. We'll be back in just a moment with Leo Zagami and Tim Alexander, and looking at what's going on in your world. Back in just a moment.
Thank you for listening to GCN. Visit GCNlive.com today.
I remember when I lost my mind. There was something so pleasant about that place. Even your emotions have an echo in so much space.
And welcome back. So, Leo, I want to ask a quick question. Obviously, the Goldman Sachs tie, the financial system, I think we are teetering on the edge of...
J.P. Morgan.
I think we're on the edge of a financial abyss. And sure. If this is going on, and the Vatican is actually making deals to try to bring in Islam, which they're working very hard to create Chrislam, or a combination of Christianity, Islam.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, they call it that, Chrislam. Christianity, Islam, and Judaism. Sabbatean and what we call Satanistic Judaism, not just regular ancient Torah Judaism. What we're dealing with now is something that is absolutely